enthusiastic inside the classroom, but even more so in nature. It seems to be much more natural, and a perfect example is we were on our first trip to the woods a month ago. It took us most of our trip to get maybe 100 yards down the driveway because they were so curious. Everything they saw, everything they heard, everything they touched, every sound they made was so incredibly engaging to them. Every single one of them was completely engaged.
We will have them form questions, and we will write down their questions, and we might read their questions back to them to help their thinking to be focused on what it was, what our goals were. But we don't create activities per se in the woods because we want them to experience the woods the way they naturally want to. And having all the state content standards and benchmarks memorized is not part of what I feel is important to do. But what we do is, like Susan said, we do a lot of reflection, looking back on our experiences, and then we'll see the different content areas that have been explored through those experiences, and then we can pull up state standards and say, hey, by the way, we touched on this, and this. So it's highlighted in yellow some of the content areas like science, the physical movement, social studies, expressive languages, and art, language arts, math. Our big idea is change, and them noticing change, and maybe them creating change. And then the woods is sort of the environment, the place where the protagonist, where it will happen, what will give them the provocation to think about these things. You know, this part might completely end up falling off because they didn't go that direction, and then maybe we'll develop these other areas more. It just depends on, you know, which way the children go.
I think it happens if you're a good enough listener. You need to really listen and reflect on what they're actually doing, and seeing and saying, and then your content standards will fall right into place. It can be very scary.
A lot of people think it can't be done, you know, and also, and unfortunately, a lot of teachers like to be told exactly what to do and how to do it, and so that's a challenge to become more trustworthy and to trust yourself as a teacher and an educator, as well as trusting the children to lead you in the right direction. It's not a normal way of working in our typical American education system.
You can't find these activities on the internet or in a book. They will come to you if you listen. It's all about listening. There's not an end to the possibilities that the outdoors can offer children in their learning. It's just the most perfect classroom that you could offer them.
Nora, where's your favorite place to play?
Right here.
Why?
Because this is my garden, and there's a stump in my garden that's broken, and I can fix it.
Why I love to think about nature as a teacher, or in the outdoors as a classroom, is the element of discovery that it really provides for children. We had a little guy walk in this morning with his mom arriving to school, and he had an enormous leaf. There's such variety in terms of leaves this time of year and things like that, but when I describe this leaf, I'm telling you it was very large and relative to his size as well. And so as he arrived, we're talking to Jesse about the leaf he found and how big it is and where did you find it, and he talked about finding it in the grass and this whole kind of thing. But for me, again, this idea that he was fascinated with the size of it and his discovery of it. Let's say we had brought in a bunch of leaves into the classroom and we filled our sensory table with leaves. That's a completely different experience. It's an interaction maybe with something produced by nature. But his discovery of it, his pride in sort of selecting it among the 100,000 leaves that he passed, because of its size, was something that I think, again, relates to how nature is a source of constant fascination for the children and really invites their personal discovery. Children, they naturally love, whether it's dirt or sand or anything, in a natural environment outside, because it's almost as if they anticipate they are going to unearth something or discover something that can't be replicated in a classroom environment.
I like playing outdoors.